For Fabian, and we back again with another video. We got Bombshell. Elon Musk drops news Americans have feared. And I think this is a segment from JRE. So let's go ahead and hop into it. He's been on there a few times, but he was on there fairly recently, man. Let's get into the videos.
Well, I mean, the government's one big...
That boy too rich.
...permit scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you're...
Well, I mean, the government's one big permit scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well...
What'd he say?
Well, I mean, the government's one big permit scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Social Security... Well, I mean, the government's one big permit scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well...
Permit
you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Oh, so... well, people pay into Social Security.
He said Ponzi scheme the second time, but the first time it sounded he said like permit.
And
where he from again?
The money goes out of Social Security immediately, but the obligation for Social Security is your entire retirement career. So you're paying with you're paying like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Far. Have you ever looked at the debt clock?
Yes.
Okay. There's our present day debt, but then there's our future obligations. So when you look at the future obligations of Social Security, the actual national debt is like double what people think it is.
When you
include the future obligations.
the obligations. But that's not. So my thing about it is like there's countless obligations. You know what I mean? And I think that like it's continuous. It's like evergreen. Because like we're continuously in debt. You know, has the U.S. ever been debt free? And like the continuous obligations, it's always like being pushed out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my point in the sense that not everything is going to be recouped. Let's keep it a beanski.
So basically people are living way longer than expected. And there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and that live for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligations. So however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it will be much worse in the future.
This is Elon Musk finally admitting what we all knew all along, that Republicans' plan is to cut Social Security. At least in the past, Republicans pretended to want to protect earned benefits. Now they're just coming right out and admitting where they really stand. Bernie Sanders issued a response to this clip saying, quote, "Wrong, Elon. Social Security has paid every benefit owed to every eligible American for 86 years. We can make it solvent for the next 75 years and expand benefits by scrapping the cap that allows billionaires like you to pay the same amount into Social Security."
I mean, we can, but at that point, it's just the deciding factor is what is the plan of action, right? So you're talking about we can make it solvent for the next 75 years. We can and expand benefits. Like if that's a possibility, but would that be the smartest route to take is kind of the first thing that comes to mind. It's funny how he just like, wrong, Elon. But when it comes to, it's crazy how they would sacrifice the people's benefits. I was going to say for the benefit of the country. But then again, it's like, why are our resources being diminished for external use versus internal? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, why are we giving away money to all these foreign countries? And yada, yada, yada. So for your Social Security benefits to be depleted or just completely wiped off the face of the earth is wild so that the U.S. can re-secure debt, which is just the ideology Elon has, I guess. That's crazy.
Security as a truck driver. And that's exactly right. All it takes is for billionaires like Elon Musk to pay a higher amount toward the program than teachers and firefighters. And here's the thing. Elon knows that. He knows that what he's saying is a lie, but he says it because he understands that programs like Social Security represent the very kind of thing that he hates so much, a modicum of a social safety net for average Americans. That is antithetical to his desire to turn America into even more of an oligarchy than it already is. In his mind, the money going to your grandma who worked her entire life should actually be going to buying billions of dollars worth of Cybertrucks or a fat Defense Department contract for SpaceX or buying a meme coin that goes directly into Donald Trump's pockets. And that gets to what his Department of Government Efficiency is actually all about. It's not about some noble pursuit of eliminating waste and fraud and abuse. They haven't even found any evidence of fraud. And the savings they claim to have created were actually found to be false, and they had to delete them from their own website. In actuality, the efficiency that Doge is interested in is the efficient facilitation of a massive transfer of wealth to the richest, while cutting the benefits that working and middle-class Americans have earned throughout the work they've put in their entire lives. I mean, just think about it. What has Doge actually gone after so far? Not corporate welfare, of which Elon himself is a recipient to the tune of $40 billion. Certainly not Elon's multi-billion-dollar government contracts. Instead, the first thing they went after was an agency that helped feed hungry children. Then they went after an agency whose sole mission is to help consumers recruit funds that were stolen by predatory banks and financial institutions. Then they went after healthcare, including veterans and things like FAA and OSHA, which keeps Americans safe when flying.
Is this all factual? Is this all factual? Someone comment down below.
And when at work. AOC put it best here when she said, quote, "This guy is a leech on the public. No matter how many billions he gets in tax cuts and government contracts, it will never be enough for him. Now he's going after the elderly, the disabled, and the orphan children so that he can pocket it in tax cuts for himself. It's disgusting." And as I mentioned, all of this is building up to their ultimate targets: Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Medicaid, of course, is already virtually cut, as the Republican budget blueprint already prescribed $880 billion in cuts from the Energy and Commerce Committee, which is only mathematically possible if Medicaid is slashed from that committee. And we also recently learned that Trump and Musk are planning to cut the Social Security Administration in half. So not much of a secret where they're headed from here. And for those who respond, "Oh, well, they'll never do that. It's too unpopular," might I point to, well, to everything that this administration has done so far in just the last few weeks? They're not concerned about popularity. Hell, they just passed a budget that, again, literally makes way for the largest cut to Medicaid in history while protecting tax breaks for billionaires like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They did that despite the fact that the vast majority of Americans oppose.
It's funny, like, the title is somewhat misleading because it's not like any of the talk or the conversations that he had on JRE are set in stone, in my opinion. It's the big shit show. You know what I'm saying? Like, politics and all this stuff, man, it just give you a headache. And I just don't like commentators who are biased. This guy is just completely leftist. You know what I'm saying? You can just tell, like, just like the dude I had reacted to the other day. But then again, it's like, I don't ever think you're going to find a middleman when it comes to politics or like the neutrality of it.
Cutting Medicaid. Hell, a new
pendulum
poll shows that even
swings.
71% of Trump voters oppose these cuts that Republicans went ahead and voted for anyway. And here's Mike Johnson, who passed that budget himself, saying that their ultimate plan is to go after Social Security.
But the reality is they're headed towards bankruptcy. In just a few number of years, Social Security goes belly up. So does Medicare, Medicaid, all of these big spending programs, because we're drowning in debt. And so we've got to think about long-term reforms to those programs.
So yeah, they are broadcasting exactly what they want to do.
This is my thing. He's just complaining about solutions that are put on the table. You know that phrase, like, man, I don't want to hear your complaints. Give me solutions. What is your answer to resecuring the debt issue that we have in the States? And I'm asking this gentleman we're watching currently, like, if he's just going to complain about things.
And of course, this isn't even new for Republicans. The fact is that Trump introduced a budget to cut Social Security every single year that he was in office during his first term. And don't take my word for it, here is a montage of Trump himself admitting on camera that he wants to cut these programs.
One last question.
Go ahead.
Entitlements ever be on your plate?
At some point they will be. We have tremendous growth. We're going to have tremendous growth. This next year, it'll be toward the end of the year. The growth is going to be incredible. And at the right time, we will take a look at that. You know, that's actually the easiest of all things, if you look, because it's such a big percentage.
If you're willing to do some of
If you don't cut something in entitlements, you'll never really deal with the debt.
We'll be cutting, but we're also going to have growth like you've never had before.
You changed your outlook on how to handle entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Mr. President. It seems like something has to be done, or else we're going to be stuck at 120% of debt to GDP forever.
So first of all, there is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting.
This is my thing. You got to cut costs somewhere. That's how you even attack the problem. So what are the alternative solutions? I'm sure there's a lot of programs that we finance that is just money being thrown down the toilet. You know what I'm saying? So obviously this is affecting the people, but this is my point. Like, every decision and choice you make pertaining to the country is going to affect somebody. So when you generalize, and this is hurting the American people, the hardworking people, well, it's a give and take, man. Like, what is the alternative? That's what I'm trying to say. Let's start having proactive thoughts versus, oh, well, this is a bullshit idea. What is he doing? Hardworking Americans. Oh, what's going to happen to us? You can't satisfy everyone. And if there's not that realization in these conversations, and you're just swayed to one side that every choice Trump makes is dumb, and oh, he's got Elon Musk on board, and that guy makes Cybertrucks, I don't like him at all. Okay, so like, let's talk about the previous administration. What was so beneficial about what they're doing? And like before Trump's run, when it was what? Oh, all right, we don't want to talk about Obama, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, y'all see my point.
That Trump wasn't successful in cutting these programs in the past was because Democrats stopped him. But if we've learned anything since January 20th, it's that the entire point of this second term is to avoid checks and balances in any way possible. And with Democrats in the minority in both the House and the Senate, the prospect of being able to hold this administration accountable through Congress is even less likely. So what can we do? For one, we can speak up and get organized. It might not feel like it, and you might not see it on cable news, but I promise you,
use your voice.
That Republicans are absolutely feeling the heat right now in town halls and protests across the country. Here's a deep red district just this past week.
It is the DOGE program
Boy got booed. Oh, that's definitely in Texas. Where we at with it?
This is very closely akin to this is very closely akin to what Bill Clinton did between 94.
Trump's actions unpopular. That matters. It shows that not only are Trump's actions unpopular, which of course we already know, but that Americans are so outraged by what they're seeing that they're mobilizing in a way that can impact upcoming elections.
This guy said, let's use our voice. We're still in debt, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy didn't really provide any solutions. This whole spiel was just a complaint. So with that being said, I'm not the smartest book in the bunch and whatever they talk about, and especially when it comes to politics. But there was no solutions provided here. Like I said, if we're willing to cut costs, figure out the most strategic or the smartest places to cut costs in our spending. That will probably affect our hardworking Americans the littlest is the point. That's, you know what I'm saying? But if Trump is focusing on these particular programs, then you're telling me he didn't weigh out any other option for programs that wouldn't affect or hurt the larger crowd or the bigger picture of the American people? So I'm saying, like, buffoonery, clownery. Man, comment down below. Let me know y'all thoughts. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless. I'm out.